We're here. Sorry we're a couple of minutes late. My son, Jasper, decided to stay awake this time, so I hope he's not awake anymore. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on my Facebook Live. I'm really enjoying these Facebook Lives because I get to share with you guys some of the learning that I've had over the last 18 months about all of the mindset issues that will propel your business forward, as they have done mine, and even just some of most of it's personal development stuff that's helped me in my life to gain confidence or to stop procrastinating. I've got loads of things I want to share with you guys, but tonight we're going to tackle confidence. So Tim just said to me an interesting question. He said, do people actually relate to the idea of not having confidence? So first of all, drop me a 1 or a 2. 1 if you are watching live, or a 2 if you are not watching live, if you're watching on the replay, just to say that you're here, and then Tim who is hanging around can let me know if people are watching live. And also let me know, do you identify with not having confidence, or there's some areas where you lack confidence? I happen to think that even if the word doesn't massively resonate with you, everyone has areas where we lack confidence. So, for example, Tim, don't know if you mind me giving an example of where Tim a few years ago. Tim a couple of years ago lacked confidence at speaking in front of a camera. I remember him one day in the clinic being just spending pretty much a whole day trying to knock out this video. I can't remember what it was about, and now he's a complete killer at you okay?
I'm sorry. Hi guys, if you want to watch that video, it's the first video on the Skin Viva Training Network, the Skin Viva YouTube channel.
You're training?
Yeah, I look a bit like a talking corpse, but it took Lee and I an entire day to film that, and I absolutely hated the process. And now I will knock out a video like that in seconds. I just do it immediately.
So absolutely, and an area where I lacked confidence before, and I'm still working on, to be honest, but I've come a massive way, is leadership. So I have actually been a leader for however many years that we have had staff. So that's about 6-7 years maybe. But I did not feel like a leader until this time during this last 18 months, when I have been doing my personal development, when I have been actively trying to gain confidence in that area. So it takes active kind of work on it. But the point is, I don't know if you guys, but there might be some areas of your life that you're trying to gain confidence and you almost don't agree with the label that someone external has given you, almost that imposter syndrome that I did my vlog on the other day, because you're like, right, okay, so I'm lacking confidence in, let's say, for example, doing fillers or lip treatment, so I lack confidence. And let's say someone comes up to you in a pub or whatever, and you tell them that you do aesthetics, and then they're like, oh God, like, you must be like a specialist in that area, or you must be really rocking your fillers, you know, and you're a bit like, you feel like, yeah, and you don't even identify with that label. I didn't identify with the label a leader 2 years ago. I just didn't identify with it. I didn't feel confident. And I actually, when I started my personal development journey 18 months ago, I actually said, when I had my first coaching session, I said, I want to become an amazing leader. That was my goal. And ever since then, I've been doing everything I can to work towards that goal, and I have gained confidence. But what I want to kind of, before I dive into the how, same with procrastination last week, I really want to talk a bit about the what and the why. Why don't we have confidence, and what is it to not have confidence? Because therein lies the magic formula for how we hack ourselves to actually gain confidence. You can't kind of start tackling it until you understand it a bit more. That's my philosophy of life generally. So and if you guys are sort of resonating with any of this, is resonating with you, please let me know, and let me know in which areas you might be lacking confidence, because Tim can tell me, and then we can, you know, talk about it later. So before I kind of dive into it, I just want to say that this is going to take about half an hour, same as last week. I'm going to give you some really clear, tangible takeaway tools to go away and use to make yourself more confident. And these tools are super fun, and I hope that watching tonight, because they have kindly allowed me to briefly share their stories, because this one tool that I'm going to be sharing with you is so much fun, and they have found it to be really useful in their lives. I have been coaching the last few weeks, and she's been using it, and I went out on a Lit Masters night out, and I told her that technique, and we found it really funny, and I think she found it useful. So I'll share that with you, and hopefully those guys will pipe up when I get to that point. So some tangible tools to walk away with. So, lack of confidence. I've already shared my leadership story, but one thing that really, really fascinates me about the idea of lack of confidence is its definition. So the dictionary definition of confidence is, check this out, it's so interesting. The belief, or, let me just remind myself, the feeling or belief that one can have faith in or rely on someone or something. So the feeling or belief that you can have faith in someone. And what's so interesting to me about confidence is that it almost feels a bit wiffly-waffly. It's like belief, faith, feeling. Actually, I would have thought confidence is more of a concrete thing. It's quite a kind of, it feels like it's quite, rah, I have confidence, I have strong confidence. Actually, no, you have, confidence is the feeling, the faith. And what fascinates me about this is that I actually, one thing that I kind of see a lot, I see it on this group, I've said it, I know myself, is that people often say to each other, babe, you got to believe in yourself, babe, or you got this, hon, you know, and I say it myself as well. And I have to say though, whenever anyone says that to me, even my own mum or my coach, I'm always a bit like, yeah, okay, thanks. I don't really think that I have got this, though, not really. And you might, if they say, you've got this, sister, and then I say, I might be like, oh, thanks, yeah, great. And then I go away off on my merry way. And actually, I haven't gained any more confidence because of something that they said, even though they said it with the most amount of love, and I love them for saying it, and, you know, empowerment is awesome, but it just doesn't seem to work, which would suggest that confidence comes through evidence, that your brain won't believe that you won't believe that you have the capacity to be confident unless you have some evidence that you deserve to be confident. Well, thank you very much, you know, person on the mindset group who says that I've got this, but I haven't really got it, and I've got no evidence that I've got this at all. You know, I'm actually just, you know, as Tim described a few years ago, a bag of nerves when it comes to videos, so I don't think I've really got this, thank you very much. So if, this is weird though to me, because the definition of confidence is about faith and feelings and whatever. And I always think of Oprah, as I do think of her pretty much every day. I love you, Oprah. I always think about a quote she says, which is, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. She says it like that. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe. In other words, if you want to become a master of fillers, and at the moment you are not rocking the fillers, you're not even starting with them. Maybe every time your phone goes off and it's a new client requesting a treatment, you think, please God, let it not be fillers, please God, let it not be fillers, because I haven't started them, and I did do them on my foundation course, but I just can't bear to get going, and I worry about the process of, I'm going to be shared, no confidence. Actually, if you sorry, I forgot my point. It was about belief. So if you would like to rock your fillers, actually, I find it's incredibly hard to just, or impossible, I've never done it, to just switch on that belief. I want to become a master in fillers, or to be good at them. I want to become confident in fillers. Well, if Oprah's saying that you only get what you believe, and currently I don't believe in myself enough to even be doing them, then that's a problem. So on one hand, we've got, what I'm saying is that I can't have blind faith. I struggle with, you got this, sister, when actually I don't have any evidence. And yeah, now let's say I'm going to try and rock the fillers. I'm not a clinician, but let's say this is your example. Let's say you want to start doing Instagram Live, or you want to start doing Facebook Live. So let's say that you've got no confidence in that area at the moment. Let's say that your goal is that you want to start doing that. You don't have that blind faith in yourself, and unfortunately you don't have any evidence to suggest that you can do it. So you don't have the confidence, you don't have the blind faith, and you don't have the evidence. So what's a girl or a boy to do? How do we gain confidence? The way we do it is we hack our lizard brain. So I'll come on to that in a sec, but there's a very, very cunning hack in how we actually overcome that, and it involves Beyonce. So that's just a little tip there for the future.
Sue Davis comments that confidence increases immediately that she feels someone else believes in her. That's
so interesting, Sue. Yeah. So what Sue's saying is that if someone else believes in her, then she feels more confident. And I bet, Sue, that only applies with people that you respect or are in some kind of position of authority already. So, for example, recently, I believe in you, I believe in your power to fight for the physios in medical aesthetics. And I suspect that when you saw my videos suggesting that, you probably felt, yeah, can do it. I think you already knew you could do that anyway. It's probably not the best example. But if it was like a drunk man down the pub and he was like, babe, you can do it, you can totally just rock this shit, you know, you probably would be a bit like, all right, thanks. You know, it depends on who, I would suggest. I remember my mum used to always say when I was a teenager and I used to have massively frizzy hair, like serious frizz, my mum always used to say, oh darling, you look like a Botticelli painting. And I always remember thinking, yeah, not so much, because I was literally, to me, I was a massive frizz bomb, you know, ugly. I didn't have that confidence, and it didn't, my mum telling me didn't really give me that confidence as a gift. So, on to brain hacking. How do we, if we understand what confidence is, how do we Don't let me forget, guys, to take the bit out, comment later, and then I'll do it when I turn off this Facebook Live. So, brain hacking time, how do we do it? Our brain is, we have two pulling forces in our brain.
You lost it. Oh, you're on, sorry.
Yeah. We have our lizard brain, which I talk a lot about, which is our old caveman software that keeps us alive. It makes us want to seek out food, seek out bonking, seek out staying in the cave so that we preserve our energy to bonk and eat, basically. That's all our lizard brain is trying to get us to do. And it's old software that unfortunately translates now into overeating or anxiety or chronic lack of confidence that allows us, which means that we don't start doing fillers when we know we can. So that's what our lizard brain does. It's the amygdala, I think it's the base of your brain. That is our animalistic brain. But happily, we have a competitive advantage over our lizard brain. We are also advanced, evolved humans that have the prefrontal cortex. Now, just a little caveat here. Apologies if I get some science wrong, but this is my basic understanding of neurology. So we have this prefrontal cortex, which allows us to do one very key thing differently to animals, the lizard brain, 2-year-olds. We have the ability to imagine a future which is better than our current existence. It's the reason that humans are the most successful species. It's the reason we have cities and bridges, and we have created, you know, we have Albert Einstein, and we've created civilizations and economies, and, you know, we can fly a hunk of metal in the sky. It's all those reasons. It's because a human, utilising their prefrontal cortex, has actually has imagined a world that was better than we have now. So we have the ability to imagine. Our animal cousins, they just live in reaction the whole time. So they are just sort of bumbling around the world, dealing with whichever thing comes their way next. And actually, I think quite a lot of us might relate to that, because I think quite a lot of us are actually living in reaction, unfortunately, at the moment as well. Surviving, not thriving. But we can do better, and we can overcome our lizard brain. But if we're going to overcome our lizard brain, then we need to talk to it on its level. You know, when you watch Super Nanny and she's talking about 2-year-olds, and she says when you want to try and win an argument with a 2-year-old, you can't out logic the 2-year-old, you have to talk to it on its level. So we have to do a similar thing. If we want to gain confidence and hack our lizard brain, we have to kind of get down our level and be like, you're all right there, lizard brain. You're not really very confident. Okay, don't worry. This is how it's going to be. And the way that you talk to your lizard brain in a way that it will understand is by using emotion. Because the lizard brain is where our emotion is generated, as I understand it. And so we have to talk to it on an emotional level. We have to imagine a future of confidence and do it in an emotional way. So what does that mean? So there are various ways that you can do this. You can imagine your future, a confident future, a rich future, a successful future, a very healthy future, whatever it might be, whatever rings your bell. You can imagine it through visualizations, affirmations, incantations. These are all tools. And one of the most famous ones is Jim Carrey, famous actor. He famously wrote himself a check for, I think it was $10 million, something like that, and he kept it in his wallet the whole time that he was a jobbing actor and never could get any proper jobs, and certainly wasn't, successful as he is now. He kept that check that he'd written out to himself in his wallet so that he could imagine and feel emotionally part of a future that was better for himself. So that's an example. Affirmations, another example where you can say to yourself over and over and over again. You could say, for example, one that I have used in the past is, I am strong, I can't remember it now. I'm strong, I'm powerful, I follow through. I am strong, I am powerful, I follow through. You can probably guess that the follow through bit is to do with the procrastination. So yeah, there's a way that I was able to help myself along the road of overcoming procrastination. So incantations are a very similar thing. You have to do them regularly, you have to say it to yourself, and your sort of 2-year-old lizard brain almost hears it so many times that the idea is that you kind of overcome whichever is your limiting belief that was the opposite, and you're able to kind of get on board with this new belief that you've been telling yourself over and over again. But I'm not going to talk about any of those techniques tonight. I'm going to talk about a technique that has worked the best for me and is super fun, and I want you guys to get involved. Just don't set aside any of your inhibitions. I think you're probably by yourself anyway, so just go for it. Work with me on this and you will come out the other end with an amazing little tool that will serve you throughout your whole life. This tool is personas. I say, okay, that's a bit odd. What's that all about? What's that got to do with confidence? It's got everything to do with confidence. If you can get yourself a persona, which I'll describe a little bit more about in a sec, then you can carry that around with you, a bit like you would walk a dog on a lead. You can carry it around with you, and you can call to it, and it will come when you call. So let me go straight in there and give an example of a persona. Beyonce. Beyonce has a persona, and her persona is called Sasha Fierce. And I read up a little bit about, it was Alison Evans actually, Skinjector, who told me about Beyonce's, it's like an alter ego, her persona, that she clicks her fingers when she needs to get into state so that she can perform the best she can possibly perform. And I've read up about it, and Beyonce actually basically says that she's a bit of an introvert, and that she only talks when she's spoken to, and that she's actually sort of fairly, in her own world. She's not massively what you would normally think of as a confident person. But when she goes on stage, she wants and needs to be someone different, and she needs to get in that moment and become that person in a very visceral, physical way. And she actually said, which is so interesting to me, she actually said that she gets nervous before she performs, and she says that she would actually be worried if she didn't get nervous, because if she wasn't nervous, she might not have to call on Sasha Fierce. She didn't exactly say it, she didn't talk about Sasha Fierce, but she says that she calls on this persona, on this alter ego, and when she's able to call Sasha Fierce, that is when, in response almost to her fear and lack of confidence, that is when she performs the very best, because from that low place of having lacked confidence, she's able to propel herself up. And that's what I think is so beautiful about the concept of a persona. So let me tell you a bit more about it, and I'll walk you through how I have done it, and then we're going to walk through it together. So that you guys can come out at the end of this video with a persona for yourself that will serve you like your best friend and make you confident. So I have 3 personas that I developed with my coach about 18 months ago. I've used them pretty much every single day ever since. 2 of them are negative, and I use them when I'm in a bad state, which I will do another video on because I'm really obsessed with bad states and how to get out of them, but basically like little mini depressions or anxieties or whatever. So I'll do another Facebook Live on that. Watch out for that because it's super powerful if you struggle with bad states. But my two bad personas are the 2-year-old and the petulant teenager. It's a whole other story. I'll tell you it later, another time. But my amazing persona is called the Queen. And the thing about personas and being able to call them when you need them so that you can become confident is they have to come from your best self, from your best self. So what is it about you that puts you into your best state? Or rather, a better question to ask is, I wrote this question down because it was so useful. Who am I when I am my best self? Who am I when I am my best self? Who are you when you are your best self? It will be unique for all of you that are watching. And I'll tell you a little bit about who I am at my best self. Before I do, I just want to say, in case you're thinking, no, Miranda, I've got a really bad self-esteem, I really lack confidence in most areas of life, I don't know who I am at my best self. For those people, you just need to dig a little bit deeper. You know deep down who you are when you are your best self. There is something that you do and you do it bloody well. It might not be Beyonce rocking a stage or Miranda doing a Facebook Live or, you know, Tim rocking it out at working with Maurizio De Maya, but you will have an area, whether it be that you relate really bloody well to people who are in need, whether it be that you are an amazing mother or an amazing brother, or that you are just really good at making people feel comfortable so that they can be their best selves. Whatever it is, you need to dig that shit out because you have it and it will be your superpower. So let me tell you about mine, the Queen. The Queen relates well to my leadership goal. So I want to become an amazing leader, and this is my Queen state allows me to do that when I remember who I am when I am at my best. So when I am at my best, I am compassionate, I am empathetic, I am energetic, so I can give other people the gift of energy. I am steadfast, I am consistent, that's definitely one of my superpowers. I am sturdy, so that people can rely on being supported by me. And I am maternal as well. All of these things are fairly kind of sovereign-like states. By the way, I don't mean that I'm not the Queen as in like the British Queen, like, oh, I don't really want to be here, I'm just the Queen, do you know what I mean? I'm just like, rah, Queen. So this is my persona, this is my amazing, powerful, confident persona. And what happens is that I will forget about my persona, even though I've been doing it every day for 18 months. I will forget. I will go in a bad place, or I will go in a non-confident place, and I will forget who I am when I am at my best. So now that I have identified my Queen and I have given her a name, because it's very crucial to have a name for your person, because your persona, because it's like owning a dog. It's not your dog until you have named it. And once you have named your dog, you can call it and it will come to you when you call. So it's very important to name the Queen. So let's say, to name, mine is called the Queen, and other people have different names. So I'm going to share in a sec. But before I do, I just want to say that what happens when you have gained your persona, you have gathered your persona, the person you are when you are at your most confident, in which will be in a different area, so the area that you're trying to gain confidence. What will happen is you will forget that shit. You will forget it. You'll forget it tomorrow once you've created your persona tonight. You'll wake up in a bad mood and you'll be like, oh God, I'm so unconfident. So how do you snap back in to becoming the Queen again, or whoever it might be? The way you do that is with a power move. Okay, stay with me, don't leave me. This is the science behind this. So you've got your name, you've got your persona for your best self. Now you need to call this person so that she or he will come when you are ready to summon up your confidence. So the way you do that is with a power move. I don't know if you guys have watched one of the top 10 TED Talks of all time by a lady called Amy Cuddy. It's a really good TED Talk, and there's she is a scientist, and she describes how science has found that if you do this move, which is a power move, just dead simple, I think it might be like a star shape, and you do that before an interview, or you do that before a Facebook Live, or you do that before you're going to go in and do your first lips injections, that you will be more confident and you will perform better. So you need to work with me tonight. Once I finish describing my power move and my persona, we're going to work on you. You're going to get one, and once you have it, you will be able to get into your move, do your move, and you'll be able to summon your confidence in a moment. So here we go with my power move. It's, well, I don't know if I'm going to show you, it's a bit embarrassing, but I've got a move. It's something, I'll tell you what, my power move relates particularly to my shoulders. You might have seen me use my shoulders quite a bit already tonight. To me, shoulders back demonstrates command. It demonstrates that you are in command of yourself. And I'll give you an example of where this has worked beautifully for me. So I was in a meeting, I don't know, about a year ago, something like that, and it was a really tricky meeting. And I was talking to someone, and I really felt like I wasn't winning the argument, even though I still believed in my in what I was putting forward. I really wasn't just generally winning at life. It wasn't going well. And I remember it's been going on for quite some time. It's quite a long meeting. And I remember the sort of not doing very well part of it, the me not doing very well, had gone on for some time. And I remember trying to be, because my biggest goal in my personal development is that I'm self-aware. That's the first step. It's like when you're an alcoholic, you have to admit that you're an alcoholic, don't you? Or else you can't change. So I was self-aware in that moment. I thought, God, this is not working. And I looked at my body language and I was a bit hunched like this. And I've been, trying a few tactics to kind of win the argument. No, it just wasn't working. And in one moment, I did this. Of course, the person didn't notice because they were still talking. It wasn't sort of relevant to them. I put my shoulders back and I immediately summoned up the strength to ask a brilliant question. And from that question, it changed the whole trajectory of the meeting. I can't remember what the question was. It wasn't, like, I don't know, it wasn't like the craziest, most amazing question. It was just a simple question, but it came from a place of confidence and strength. By putting my shoulders back, I called the Queen, even though I couldn't say Queen, hey Queen, because obviously I was in a meeting. I just put my shoulders back, I asked a question, and the person I was talking to immediately responded. And they were more, it's hard to describe, but they just immediately, I think, sensed that I was back in control of myself. Not in control of them, but just in control of myself. And then the whole meeting just got so much better and more conciliatory after then. So the power of the shoulders back, that's my power move. There's a bit more to it, but it's mostly involving the shoulders. So the Queen, I summons her with a power move. I name her. And then there are other ways that you can do it, but these ways are a bit more tricky because you can't do them when you're with other people necessarily. So you can get your power piece of music, something that really gets you going. You can beat your lizard brain down and on the lack of confidence by doing this as a daily practice, so that every day you could walk around the garden or whatever, like I do, meditate, whatever, and actually get yourself into that state. Imagine yourself into the future where you will be undertaking the task that you want to gain that confidence. So let's say, for example, Tim, has anyone said any examples of things they lack confidence in?
Nothing specific, but I know like video and Instagram Live. And
yeah, okay, so let's say that you are struggling you want to do an Instagram Live or a video or whatever for your business. So let's say that you want to get some confidence in that area. So let's say every morning you can do a daily practice around that you can do when you're by yourself. So the way that you're doing this is you are beating into your lizard brain this imaginary time when you will be confident, so that you are bridging the gap between you've got no evidence that you should be confident and you haven't really got that blind faith. So how do you get it? You imagine it, and you imagine it with emotion and with motion and with music and a power move and a name, and you need to spend some time ruminating on that shit. Really feel it. Imagine, what is it going to feel like when I step out into that Instagram Live? What is it going to feel like afterwards when yes, I've done it, I've made that move? What is it going to feel like when you get some clients from it? We've had examples this week of people literally stepping out, jumping off the cliff and getting clients immediately from it. What is that going to feel like? Feel it. What's it going to how are you gonna, you need to step into that moment. How are you gonna feel? What are you gonna see when you're in that moment, when you're feeling that victory, when you're drinking a glass of champagne with your husband at the end of the week because you've got a new client this week? What is that gonna feel like? You need to beat that into your lizard brain. You've got to use your competitive advantage, your prefrontal cortex, and win over the lizard brain by imagining this future confidence. So those are the ways that I have used to gain confidence in leadership. And it was really lovely because this week I was just happened to be in Tim's Google Photos, and I was looking for something, and I stumbled across an old picture of myself from, God knows, it was sort of 3 years ago, something like that. And it was a picture of a previous time, and it was a picture of me being a leader, but in my opinion being an unconfident leader. And there was 3 of our colleagues were lined up on one side. We were in Tim's room in the clinic, and then I was kind of doing a presentation on the other side. I can't even remember what I was doing, and I was in my old clothes that I used to wear before I kind of had my transformation. Now I wear dresses, and I really kind of invest in myself as a leader, as the image of a leader. So I've got my nails, and I wear my nice dresses. And this was like me in my kind of slightly misshapen sort of like suit, and like my hair was all weird, and I was doing this kind of shitty presentation. And the girls that were lined up, a couple of whom are still with us, thankfully, they were just looked a bit bored. And I wasn't being that leader that I know I can be. Now I know I can be because I have gamed myself, I have worked on myself, I have hacked myself to imagine that life when I am an amazing leader. And now I'm so much further along that journey. So it can be done. That old image, I tell you what, I'll dig up that old image and I'll try and find it, and I'll post it on the comments, because it's the old me, and now I have imagined into reality a confidence. So you guys can do the same. So Tim, you were going to ask a question, I think, about something that people might want to gain confidence in.
Well, I'm not sure if you've covered about the systematic desensitization, so small steps towards the big thing you actually want to achieve. Yeah.
Oh, before I do that, I just want to share this experience of persona creation. So, who I've been working with recently. Say hi if you're there, Alison. She and I worked on personas recently, and she got for herself the persona of, interestingly, Beyonce. So we've been talking about Sasha Fierce's, her alter ego, but now Alison's is Beyonce, and that's because Alison has been feeling recently with her business that she's really rocking it. She's been gaining new treatments. She's been doing her microneedling treatment recently this week. She's been overcoming some fears. She's been absolutely going for it, and she's been getting the results. So by doing little bits and by jumping off cliffs, she's actually been getting the results, and that's shown her the evidence she needs to gain that confidence. But as a fast track to that as well, she's been imagining herself in her Beyonce persona. So I think that's really worked for her, and it's been really powerful for her. Another example is Nicola Boxup. She has, when we were talking at our Lip Masters night out, I was telling her about this concept of personas, and I said, who are you at your best self? And she described to me that when she is seeing clients, that actually she has one of her USPs, something that really that she loves to do and that clients respond really well to, is that she's almost a bit of a therapy session for them. So they'll come in and she'll make extra time for certain clients in the diary. She gives them a brew, they have a good chat as well as doing the injections, and it's something that they really value and they come back to her for. So I said, who's your persona? What kind of name would you like to give it? And then she didn't have a name at the time, and then we went away and did some bowling and came back, and she's like, Miranda, my name is Lady Di. So she actually, because she has that wonderful ability to relate to and to give care to, emotional care to her clients, that's what Lady Di was like. And so she's been rocking that name ever since. So it's something that you can just call when you're feeling lack of confidence. You can say, who am I when I'm at my best self? And then call that dog and it will come. So I really want to, before I answer Tim's question, just by asking him and then not answering his question, I really want you guys to actually come up with your own personas tonight. So answer this question: who are you when you are your best selves? Tim, do you have a would you like to get involved with this as a...
What do my things are?
Well, you don't have to give them all, but who are you when you're at your best self?
Well,
Sorry, I just sprung this on you.
Should I come up?
Yeah. You don't have to.
I wasn't expecting this.
Sorry.
I've never told anyone.
You don't have to tell them.
I don't have characters, but they're actually on the wall there, which is, it's more of a state that I tell myself. So they're parts of the way I think or behave that I think are most powerful, most useful for me. So one of them is the inspirational guide. So that's kind of how I want to be for my kids, but it's also how I am for patients. It's how I am for the people who I manage most intimately. I'm trying to both guide them and inspire them at the same time. Then I have Rock of Stability, which is that's me trying to be a bit more resilient to stuff that's stressful and difficult, and be stronger for the important people in my life. In particular, that's quite an intimate one for me. And then I have the Killer Strategist, which is when I'm faced with a problem, that's the part of me where I remember I've got that. I used to be really good at chess when I was a kid, and that's where I got it from, is I used to be quite ruthless and kind of demolish other 6-year-olds. But yeah, I wanted that I can call on when I'm in front of what seems like a really intractable problem at work, multiple different things going on, multiple opinions and people. I remember that the Killer Strategist is able to kind of sift through and sort these things and come up with a really good plan at the end of it. And then I have the Magic Maker, which is particularly for my kids, but it's that, it's building a pirate bed and doing fun stuff, and that's my favourite one, actually, because that's just fun. That's me being a big kid, but I try and do things like that, and that's a good way of getting yourself into a more positive state generally, is just remembering, what's your best state, your most fun one, and that's a good way of de-stressing. I usually get into my Magic Maker after work between 7 and 9. And that's it.
Thank you, that's wonderful. But the point about all of Tim's names, which he has literally put up in his board here in Shedtopia, is that he is able to, sometimes when he is not in his best place, is able to call those names up to his brain quickly and say, right, Killer Strategist, what would Killer Strategist do? That's another really amazing question that you can do. Once you have your persona, then you can say, what would X do? So my friend Louise, my best friend Louise, we were talking about this the other day, and she came up with Bodicea. So Louise is like really rocking her career. Like she's a consultant basically, and her persona is Bodicea, that she is this strong woman, that she can fight for herself, but is also a leader and is able to mold other people, etc. And when you have that clear in your mind, you're able to say, what would Bodicea do here? And then you're so much more able to come up with a good answer as opposed to a fearful or a lacking in confidence answer. So, Tim, you were talking about the steps, the baby steps. Do you want to talk about the baby steps? Because you particularly with public speaking.
Yeah, I'll do it again. So so this is. I used to be really morbidly afraid of public speaking. I had some horrendous experiences as a child. Every year you had to do this speech at school. South African school was quite harsh in many ways, and I had a couple of complete freezes and just stood there and didn't speak, and I basically hated public speaking. But what I wasn't aware of these other ways you can game yourself, but I basically got over by repeatedly exposing myself to smaller events. We used to do demo nights, and sometimes there were 2 people there. I was quite good. I could deal with 2 people.
Aesthetics demo nights.
Yeah. But every single step. I mean, the worst nightmare for me. I mean, I know probably a lot of you saw me winning with Arthur Swift and presenting my case, but I had Raja Killer, who's like the world's best speaker in aesthetics, sitting directly behind me.
Come on, Raj.
So it was that was a really big anxiety, and the morning before that I just felt fear, and I went running and I tried to shake all that stuff, but I was pretty nervous about that, but got through it. And the next time I spoke in front of Maurizio De Maio, who is probably the number one, and it didn't feel the same. I just didn't have that anxiety anymore.
And Maurizio said that you were awesome.
We didn't use those words. But the point is, it started really small. It started with me speaking in front of Doreen and Doris and still feeling nervous. And then it's gone up and up just by repeatedly exposing yourself. So Dave and Chelsea were feeling nervous about doing Instagram Lives now on the Lip Masters course. And I kind of want you guys to know that that's totally normal to feel that way. No, I wasn't born doing this kind of thing. In fact, the opposite. And if I can go on this journey, then you guys can go on this journey. It's just a matter of, for me, it was small steps, you know, even without these personas. It's just saying, I'm going to do something small that's still scary, but it's not, I'm not doing a 3-hour Facebook Live presentation and with a procedure. I'm just doing my top tip for whatever, and just do something to break the ice, which is the thing I was going to ask you about, which is growth mindset. So a lot of this is behind, and in fact, we're even doing it right now. I think this is great, it's amazing what we're doing, but this is a route to something bigger and better, and it always is. So my first video, which I mentioned right at the beginning, which was it wasn't my first video, but the first one that you can find is on YouTube, is me trying to talk about the first foundation course when we first started it. And I was incredibly nervous and didn't enjoy creating that at all. But I knew it was a route to something, and I, for some reason, always believed that by doing it once, I would get better the next time. And that's what a growth mindset is that you never measure yourself on now. You say, this is a snapshot on a journey, and I'm going to get a lot better and this is my journey to do it. So the outcome of the thing that you're trying to get more confident at, or the action or the activity that you're doing, is not necessarily mastering it on that occasion. It's a step in the right direction. That's all you need to tell yourself. So I feel like I'm making a step in the right direction, even if it was a 4 out of 10 presentation. I still feel good about it. And if you can manage to associate success even with your 4 out of 10 first attempt, you're on your way then, because it's the trajectory or the momentum you're carrying is much more important than where you are. The position you're at now is not a measure of your success. It's the direction that you're going.
Oh, that's like a quote. The position that you are now is not a measure of your success.
Yeah, I've actually got it all. Momentum trumps position. Like, it doesn't matter where you are now. Like, you might have 0 Instagram followers and no clients, but if you're someone who's going to go and put in a ton of work and chip away, it's the direction and the momentum that you're going on that's more important than where you are now. And if you can remember that, then you start to associate success with the process rather than the big thing that you'd like in 5 years' time.
So how does that relate specifically to confidence? So if you are feeling no confidence,
it's to do with not feeling like you have to have 10 out of 10 confidence after leaving this session to say that, well, I've done it, I did my session, I implemented my personas, and now why am I not feeling 10 out of 10? If you've gone from a 2 to a 3, you're on your way. So it's about progress and not measuring yourself by your ultimate goal, but by the fact that you're chipping away at the big thing by doing something small.
Okay. Fab. Thank you very much. Right, guys. I think I'll end it there, and I would love to know what your persona is. So if you can ask yourself this question, I would really, really urge you to do it, because it's been life-changing for me and others as well. If you can ask yourself, who am I when I am at my best? And if you can't immediately bring up the question, the answers to that, what do you do? How do you behave? What do you look like when you're at your best? If you can't immediately answer that, dig deep, spend some time meditating on it, and be generous and kind to yourself. I promise you, you have something within you that is worthy of a name, like Queen, Boadicea, Lady Di, or Beyonce. Get yourself a name, and then you can call her when you need her or him. Good luck, and let us know how you get on with it. I would absolutely love to know. And don't forget to, if you're listening to this not live, then drop us a 2, just let us know that you are there. Thanks, guys. I'm so looking forward to my next Facebook Live, which I will announce later on this week, but I already know what it's about. It's going to be good. So tune in next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, and I will see you then. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.